So you feel like giving up on your capital raise? So when is the time that you should give up? Well, this is an individual and this is a personal question that for most people. And the thing I want to highlight to anyone, if you're actually watching this video, it means you've actually thought about it at some time and you're wondering about whether you should actually do this for yourself or not. And I just want to speak to you about the core part of what this journey is, because I think it may give you a different perspective on what you should be focusing on going forward. See, the challenge is capital raising is tough. It is emotional. You get rejected. And, I said, if you're going to speak to 100 people, you're going to be getting rejected from 90 to 95% of those. And probably about a quarter to half are going to tell you why they're rejecting you. And that can sometimes eat into people's confidence. And it's a funny thing that people go through. They go through these stages where they start out overconfident, then they get completely humbled. And then people get to that borderline where they feel like giving up. Just know you're absolutely not alone. There's so many founders that have gone before you that are, whether they're raising money or just building their business in general, that have wondered if they should actually give up. It's an emotional game. When you're going through sleepless nights, when you're watching the cash balance go down, when you've got other shareholders or you've got board members asking you, how is the capital raise going? You've got nothing to report on, right? And then at the same time, you're trying to build a business. You're going into your office. You're looking at your staff in the eyes, and although you got your game face on, you're sitting there thinking to yourself, "Holy shit! If they knew what challenges I was going through, they wouldn't be here." Right? This is 1000% normal. Most founders have been through this journey. Most founders have actually found themselves in this position. So the answer to the question, should you give up? I said it's a personal one, but here's the thing. The question, the thing I'd say for you is, one thing that's going to be super important is firstly a good night's sleep, right? Because the reality is it's super hard to have clear thinking if you're not sleeping well, right? And then the second part is that you need to remind yourself why you're actually doing this. Why are you building your business? What is the why that sits behind your company? Who is it that you can impact? What difference can it actually make to them? What is the difference that you can actually make for yourself, right? What is the difference you can make in your team members' life? What future job opportunities can you create with your actual business? What is the why that sits behind your business? If you can't get to that answer, that's the challenge, right? The reason is, what happens is when people get into that stage where they're starting to ask themselves, should I actually give up on their capital raise? It's because they've forgot about the why. They forgot about the reason to do it. Or maybe they've just come up against so many roadblocks, they're wondering whether it actually is time to give up. Look, I said it's a really hard thing for someone to answer. All I'll say is that every success story that you look at, right? Everyone's covered in the media, whether they're talking about successfully raising funds or successfully listing on the ASX or successfully exiting to another company and making their money and so forth. Just know that every single one of those founders has at some stage been in your position where they're sitting there thinking, holy shit, is this all worth it? Right? It is such a tough game. This is why not many people do it. This is why not everyone is actually built to be a founder, right? It is a brutal game. And especially when you're going through the capital raising process, I said, everything that we do is we're trying to go through that. How can you turn capital raising from an art into an actual science? Because I'm trying to help people remove the actual emotions that they experience when they go through the capital raise, because I know what it felt like for myself, right? I know all the different things that I went through. So this video is for you, the founder that could be watching this, that is wondering about whether you should continue with pursuing your ambitions, pursuing your vision, pursuing your journey, pursuing your capital raise, etc., right? Or if it's time to sort of hang it up. The reality is that answer only sits with you. But before you sort of make those calls, the reality is one conversation can change the entire trajectory of our business. The hard thing is we just have to have 100 conversations to get to that one. The other reality is that you've got to have a good sleep and then remind yourself of what that vision is. Now, I know that sounds super simple, but the reality is, if you haven't been sleeping, it's really hard to make a clear decision. But remind yourself of your why. What is it that actually got you into this space? What is that one contact that could actually make a strategic difference in your business? that could actually transform the acceleration of your growth. Maybe they're not in the country, maybe they're in another country, right? The reality is you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your shareholders, and you owe it to the board members that are backing you in building what you're doing, to make that effort to find out if it is possible, to make that extra effort, to go that extra mile, to find out, because this is what this game is. It's that it's a test of will, it's a test of resilience, and it's a test of how focused you are. Now, there may be some lessons, there may be some adjustments, maybe you're going down a wrong path, etc. There could be all that sort of stuff. Maybe there's a potential strategy for what you're doing that you're not aware of right now that could transform it. I've literally just seen one of our old clients acquire one of my current clients, and their business is now 10x'd. Right now, that company was basically sitting on as a small cap on the ASX, and it wasn't really growing in sort of share price, even though they had great technology, etc. And said, we're always just one contact or one interesting connection away from what could be a transformational trajectory with our business. The challenging part is you just have to have you just have to have lots of conversations to get to that. So this process of raising money, this process of business is a test of will. It's a test of resilience. It's a test of your why the entire way through. So for whoever's watching this, I hope this message helps, and I hope it resonates, and I hope it can add value to some of your thinking as far as what your next move is, and how you transform what you see in your mind into reality.